Hi, my name is Julia.
Hi, my name is Aliana.
Hi, my name is Cassidy.
And welcome to the Dope Student Podcast. Lynn, can you share more about your journey from the Philadelphia public school system to becoming a Thouron Scholar at Oxford? What inspired you along the way?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Hi, everyone. My name is Lynn. I actually went to Mayfair from K to 8. I am a Philly native, born and raised. Grew up around here. I'm a daughter of Moroccan immigrants. Many of you know my mom, Miss Larabi. Went to Mayfair. Afterwards, went to Central High School. Afterwards, went to college, went to University of Pennsylvania, and now I'm headed to Oxford as a Thouron Scholar. I would say that a lot of my journey has been focused on like public service and community work because it all started here. I have always seen Mayfair as a community, and the fact that I'm able to give back in different ways through education kind of inspires me to keep moving forward.
You worked at various levels of government, from the White House to local campaigns. How have these experiences shaped your perspective on civic engagement and political empathy?
Yeah, of course. So thank you so much for asking that question. I served as an intern at the White House in the Office of Intergovernmental Affairs. So getting to work with local and state leaders, and just seeing how the president's administration kind of pushes a lot of important policies about education, about workforce development, about just the different things that we see daily. And so I also worked on a campaign. I was a campaign fellow for Congressman Gabe Amo. He's currently the representative for Rhode Island in federal Congress. And all these experiences have kind of taught me about how important it is to stay civically engaged when you're young. Change starts at the local level. So getting to vote, when you're a bit older, getting to vote, but getting to be a poll worker at election day polls really shows that you get to have the agency to advocate for the changes that you want to see in your community, and you can do it in so many ways. You can volunteer, you can reach out to leaders, and leaders will listen, and you can just mobilize with your friends and just kind of work together to keep making sure that youth and that we stay active in our community, because we want change to happen, and so we have to kind of be at the forefront of making this change.
Okay. You're passionate about building workforce development models. Can you explain what these models involve and how can they benefit underserved populations, especially youth?
Yeah, of course. So as a Thouron Scholar, I'm going to be headed to Oxford literally tomorrow. I get on my plane tomorrow to just study how certain social intervention models can lead to positive change. I do want to say that I love the work that you guys are doing, the work that Mr. Jared is doing. Walking into the CTE workshop, I am literally amazed because it's something that I've always wanted to see happen. I think that what's important about what's important about youth is that we get to have a choice. We get to have a choice to choose what pathways we want to do, what jobs we want to have, just our daily decisions. But that can't happen if we don't know what's available for us, right? Growing up, I've always wanted to see yes, there is the college pipeline, but in addition to the college pipeline, there are different trades that you can be a part of, just to gain more knowledge about what the world has to offer. So when it comes time to picking my job or starting maybe even a small project on the side, I can be equipped with the tools and the skills. And so in order to build compassionate workforce models, you kind of have to give us, the youth, the option to learn more about what's out there. Just so we can, make an informed decision regardless of what we want to do in life.
Imposter syndrome is something many people face, especially in high achievement environments like Oxford or the White House. How have you dealt with it, and what advice would you give to students who feel the same?
Yeah. So for those that might not know, imposter syndrome is basically the feeling of, it's just feeling you don't belong in a space, right? Feeling you're not really represented in a space, feeling you don't belong, feeling you're not good enough, despite having a good, despite being having a seat at the table, or despite having that role. So I went to the University of Pennsylvania. It's an Ivy League school. I head to Oxford. I've been fortunate enough to have all these different positions, but sometimes you do kind of feel maybe I'm not enough, maybe I don't belong, but that's not true. What's true is remembering that your family, your community at Mayfair, like, has supported you to get to these certain parts and certain places, and it's up to you to like continue offering representation and continuing to like fight for people from your community in these spaces to show that you belong and that you too like deserve to have a voice. So it's really exciting to honestly see like three women seated at this table with me, like running this podcast, because I feel like, you know, there's been a time where this wasn't really like the norm, and yeah, it's just like really exciting to just sit with you all. So y'all should give yourself a pat on the back.
How important is it for students to be open to new experiences and advice from mentors? Can you share a time when stepping out of your comfort zone led to growth in your career?
Yeah, that's such a good question. Sorry, I'm reading the question again. Yeah. So I feel like I would not have been able to push myself out of my comfort zone or be able to like engage in these opportunities if it weren't for mentors. So like I said, I am a daughter of immigrants, and I love my parents, but sometimes like they don't have like enough knowledge of certain resources to kind of like offer me like advice or like, you know, push me further on like what's out there. Because obviously, like, you know, as you're going through school or, you know, as you're going through life, like there are a lot of resources and opportunities that pop up, but sometimes you don't know who to talk to. Sometimes you want to like, you know, be a part of this like vision or be a part of this pathway, but like you don't really know who to talk to. But the reality is that your teachers are around, counselors are around. Like there are so many people around you that are willing to offer you advice. You just need to sit down and like, you know, let yourself be vulnerable. Now, of course, it's important to know like who are the people that you choose to be vulnerable with, who are people that you choose to trust, and it just feels really good to like let those like things out. So throughout my time, honestly, at Mayfair, I got to see a lot of my current mentors, my old mentors. You know, in college, in high school, I would like always go to teachers that I trusted, and I would be like, "Hey, I'm really interested in doing this type of work," or "I am really interested in music. Like, how do I get involved? Like, what do you recommend that I do?" And it's important to take their advice in and kind of like listen to that, because you know, when you're seeking out advice from those around you, from those that inspire you, you're more likely to learn more about opportunities that you might want to engage in to see if you like a certain role or like a certain job or like a certain activity.
You've mentioned empathy as a crucial skill in your work. How can students cultivate empathy, and why is it so essential in today's political landscape?
Yeah, of course. So just like a little bit of background, the reason why I'm so interested in empathy, it was my sophomore year in college, so my second year in college. I took a class called Political Empathy and Deliberative Democracy. And that class was kind of about like, in addition to just learning about politics, in addition to just learning about like these scary headlines or topics, what does it mean for people to connect with each other despite being so different from each other? Whether if it's politically, whether if it's culturally, whether if it's like socioeconomically, right? Like what does it mean to connect with someone even if you guys might not agree on everything? And so this idea of like talking to people despite being so different also cultivates democracy, which is like, you know, our type of government, and it's like how people get involved, right? So this past summer, like over this summer, it was me and 6 other researchers and our mentor, Dr. Leah Howard. We road tripped around Pennsylvania. We did these 5 distinct trips to just talk to people and listen to them. And we would ask people, what are some issues that you care about? You know, what are some things? And it's so scary, the thought of it, right? Driving to a random county in Pennsylvania and just like being like, hey, like what politics do you care about? Or like, what are the current issues you care about? But the thing is that there's so many people that would love to talk if you show that you're willing to listen, right? And I've had so many conversations where I might not have agreed completely with certain politics, but it was nice to see that like I'm talking to another human. Yeah, we can disagree on like certain headlines, but we can also like still agree on other things and establish common ground. And so this concept of empathy means like even if you're really different from someone, it's still important to like sit down and try to have a conversation in a way that you can show that you're an active listener and that like you care to give them the respect and the time to talk about what they believe in, because they're also going to reciprocate that as well.
What were some key milestones in your career, and what challenges did you face on your journey? How did you overcome them?
Yeah. I feel like there have been a lot of key milestones, and there continue to be because, I'm still going to school. I'm still, like, trying to figure out, like, different things. But I would say one of the most important things for me was getting into the University of Pennsylvania, like getting into college. Coming from, again, like being a first-generation student, like my parents immigrated to the States so their kids can go to college, so they can like seek higher education and seek higher education opportunities, because one of the tools for giving back to your community is like through education, like getting to go to college, getting to learn about something that interests me, but I know will also help me like impact the community around me. And I feel like getting into Penn has offered me so many things. Like I got to travel abroad. I became a Thouron Scholar, which is a scholarship that's covering my experience at Oxford. I got to like make a lot of mentors. I got to like learn more through them. I got to take some really fun classes, some interesting classes. And on top of that, I really got to build like a core community. I also started a band in college, like started a pop rock band called Menagerie, like sang and played the bass. So I feel like there was just so many different opportunities I got to unlock that I didn't know I could be a part of until I got into college.
How do you think early exposure to real-world experiences like internships or community involvement can shape students' career decisions and personal development?
Yeah, that's also a really good question. I would say that like exposure is so important because it really shows you like what you like and what you don't like, right? So like we can sit here and we can talk about like all these different jobs or experiences that we want to be a part of, but you never really know if you're fully interested in it until you do it. When I was in high school, I was a part of this program called WINS. It's the Women in Natural Sciences program of Drexel University. And essentially, in 8th grade, you apply, and it's like 25 girls from the district get to be a part of this like women's group at the academy, and we get to be in internships, and they I worked at the Academy of Natural Sciences for 4 years as a result, and it's been like a program that's given back to me a lot. Honestly, another like life milestone in general. And through that program, I got to like be involved in internships, and I got to work at a lab. I also got to do fieldwork outside, and it really showed me what the natural sciences looked like. And I feel like I have a deep appreciation for it, and I would not have built that much of an appreciation if it weren't for like being in these hands-on environments. Like same thing with mentorship at Penn. I was a part of Ashe Academy, which is where mentors from Penn of African descent get to mentor West Philly youth who are of like a similar background, and like through that I got to like build a lot of curriculum. So I got to teach financial literacy, I got to teach about politics, I got to teach about community engagement, and honestly they're like my kids because I've seen them like since their freshman year, and they like grew up and they got taller, so much taller because I'm kind of short, and it was like getting to see them grow, and through these different conversations, through these different talks, like getting to work with like students that are younger, that I, kind of like my siblings, you really get to see and feel what a role looks like. And it's not a bad thing if you hate it, because you still learned from it and you still got to experience it.
As a mentor with ASC Academy, what are some of the most valuable lessons you learned from working with the young students?
Yeah, so like I said, I love Ashe. I think Ashe has a very special place in my heart because not only was I able to mentor students, but they were very much so a support community for me. Like, Ashe Academy happened every Saturday, and when you're in college, at 9 a.m. on Saturday does not sound fun to most people, but like my group and I, like my mentorship group and I, we would literally wake up and like head over to campus and like, set up the classroom for a lot of the mentees to join. And for them too, for them to like make the trek over at like 9 in the morning to come spend time with us was great. And we would play Mafia, we would play card games, along with like the curriculum that I described earlier. And so in a way, I think Ashe mentorship was also healing for me because it was kind of like being a mirror to the other students. Where it was like, yeah, like, I also am an underserved kid from Philly, but I got into Penn. Like, you deserve to be here. Like, you know, you deserve to be in these spaces. You deserve to check out this library. Like, you deserve to learn more about these topics. And getting to introduce them to things that I never grew up knowing about. Like, when I was growing up, I didn't know about financial literacy. I didn't know about political engagement. I didn't know that, like, you know, you can mobilize youth and be civically engaged in so many ways. And so getting the chance to be part of Ashe kind of, like, let me kind of expose people around me to things that I've always wanted to be exposed to. And it was, like, very healing. And it was such, like, a fun time. Like, I miss them. Shout out Ashe.
You found a pop rock band called Menagerie. How did your involvement in music impact your personal and professional growth?
Yes. Okay. So have you guys seen Lemonade Mouth?
Yeah.
You've seen it?
I think I did.
You think I did? Yeah. Okay. You need to watch it. That's your homework. But Lemonade Mouth is like a Disney movie, and it's like a band movie. How would you describe it? How would you describe Lemonade Mouth?
I don't know. I find it like, you know, like, it's like a band too. Like, it's, I don't know, like, it's so creative and stuff. And you look like the girl from like, Lemonade Mouth. Like, you know the one? Yeah, the one with the wavy hair. Uh-huh.
Hey, that's what I was going for. But yeah, so I love Lemonade Mouth. And so I remember going to college, which actually, backstory, when I was at Mayfair, I've always wanted to be involved in music. But my parents didn't really know, like, how to help me get involved in music. And so I joined the choir back when Miss Kerman was still leading the choir. Is she still leading the choir?
Yeah, I think the East
Yeah. Well, Miss Kerman used to like direct like the choir, and so I joined the choir, and like I got like my first solo in like 3rd grade, and then Mayfair used to have like talent shows, and so once you reached like 4th grade, you were able to be part of the talent show, and one of my first debut, quote unquote, was singing "Girl on Fire" by Alicia Keys, and it was like in the auditorium. And it was low-key kind of embarrassing because you know that, like, big walkway where the auditorium is?
Yes.
I, like, walk out from that door, walking down the aisle, singing Girl on Fire up on the stage. But, yeah, so being at Mayfair kind of, like, yeah, really exposed me to music. And then I also was taking violin lessons here, too. They used to have a program in 3rd grade where you get to, like, learn how to play the violin, and you could borrow a violin from Mayfair, and, like, you play music that way. So anyways, when I got to high school, I wasn't involved in music at all. And I was really sad because I missed it. Because I think it's like a good way to like express yourself. And it's kind of like a creative like expression. And then I got to Penn and I was like, you know what? I miss music so much. And I love Lemonade Mouth. And I love High School Musical. I'm going to start a band. And so I started a band with a lot of friends that I know also play music but miss music. So I sang, I played the bass, I played the tambourine. I love a good tambourine moment, like underrated instrument. And yeah, we would go around campus and we would just like perform everywhere. And in reference to like your second part of the question, I think that music has offered an outlet for me because I think it's important to like have a creative outlet to like express yourself and things like that. But I also think it taught me about like leadership and friendship too. I only sang when I started the band. I never like really played the bass or guitar or any of that. And so all of my other friends did. And it was kind of like a learning community where like my friend taught me how to play a few songs on the bass and kind of empowered me that way. My friend was like, you should throw in the tambourine if you're just standing there. And I'm like, okay, and that was empowering. And so it was kind of like a community of a support community, but also a community of like empowerment and encouragement. And I think that music can really do that. So if you guys are ever interested in music, interested in like dance, interested in any form of creative expression, like make it happen because you wouldn't be like, you'd be surprised by how many people want to be in something like that too.
Okay.
I sing in the shower.
As a former Mayfair student, what do you think about the Mayfair CTE program?
I love it. Like I said, I was so amazed walking into Mr. Jarrett's classroom and seeing the CTE program. I think that, like I said, part of like being an American citizen, like part of having citizenship is also having agency and the right to choice. And so like choice applies to like all aspects of your life. And so being able to like grow up learning about the different career pathways to grow up learning about the different things that you can do, the different hobbies that you can have, just makes you more of an engaged person in general, right? And you can also like talk to your friends about the different programs that are available and the different opportunities that are available. And so I think that the CTE program really gives you like a hands-on experience, because we were talking about, you know, when you have exposure, when you have experience to things, like you can actually learn about what's out there and make choices. But the second part is like being a part of a CTE program like this just means that there are so many viable pathways that we kind of need in our workforce and we kind of need in our industries. And it's like very empowering to like show students what is available outside of, you know, your like average and like you know, like you're outside of your average classes. With all respect to like all of our average classes, because those are core and fundamental to just like understanding like how to read and write and like do math and things like that. Those are important, but also having the opportunity to apply those things in a CTE space is also important.
Lynn, thank you so much for sharing your journey and wisdom with us today. Aww. Before we wrap up, is there anything you'd like to share with the audience or a final piece of advice for students?
Yeah, of course. So, like, thank you so much for having me. It's such an honor to spend time with you all, especially to be, like, at Mayfair, my alma mater. Something that I want to say is, like, this might sound cliche, but, like, don't be afraid to try new things. Like, don't be afraid to try new things. Don't be afraid to ask for help, because at the end of the day, like, being at a space like Mayfair, we all are a community, and we all want to work together to make our communities better. And the best way to do that is by talking, by you know, not being afraid to like ask questions, not being afraid to voice what you think and what you believe in. And yeah, I'm again, y'all inspire me. The fact that we're sitting here like having this podcast going, like when I was at Mayfair, I was not running a podcast and like, you know, being so readily available and like being a good listener. So I appreciate you all.
Okay. Thank you for watching this episode.
Bye. Bye.